Hi guys, you are listening to the Cartwright Strength podcast. If you enjoy this show, don't forget to give it a share. James, welcome to the podcast.
Glad to be here.
Thank you for coming down. How's things?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Busy.
Appreciate you making the trip down. This is the second official Cartwright Strength podcast.
I'm honoured.
So what we like to do with the guests when we first get going is just like to ask an interesting question. So interesting question of the day today for you, James, is if you were invisible for, say, 2 hours, what would be the first thing you go and do?
Well, I know what my answer would have been when I was a teenager, but that's a very good question. I think I'd sit in rooms with people who you know have basically got a bit of an issue with you and find out what they've got to say about you and then construct some sort of master plan then to have them back.
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think I want to know.
I know, yeah.
Oh, no, it'd be interesting. That's quite a good answer, to be fair.
Yeah.
Decent.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about yourself then. What's...
in a nutshell, I am a father of 3. I feel like my life now is defined by parenthood. I am a self-employed personal trainer, parents fat loss coach. Been doing it for the last 10 years now, and I feel like the way the business has gone and what I do and kind of family life, everything kind of ties in quite nicely now. So the experience that I've got at home has played a really good part in the kind of service and stuff that I deliver. I used to play rugby. That all went up the window once the kids started coming. But yeah, always been into sports, always been in the gym from like a really early age. And when people ask me about myself, I guess I always I hate to give the answer like I'm a personal trainer or like, because people just think, oh, he's a meathead. Yeah, there's nothing more to him, he's just a meathead, chicken and broccoli bloke. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell pretty much.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like the reason I kind of came across you and the reason I really wanted to invite you in the podcast today was, like your background with, you've got 3 kids under the age of 3, is it?
Under the age of 4 now.
When they were obviously under the age of 3 at one point.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was that, and it was all during like the worst time you could possibly have a child. Like, so yeah, our first one was early. He came in the April of 2020, so it was like a month into COVID. So when they locked everyone down, we were locked in a hospital. Obviously having a premature baby, I nearly missed the birth because I put my phone on silent and Mrs. was in hospital. She always holds that against me, to be fair. And then we had Hudson then slap bang during the second lockdown.
We were exactly the same as you. Like
horrific. Yeah, it was so difficult, and like the stuff that other people take for granted, like the support network and stuff when you get home, we just didn't have it. Nah. Like the first photos that we've got with our children and like relatives, they're wearing like masks and like aprons. And
like Harry, my eldest, has got Down syndrome, and when he was born undiagnosed, so like we didn't know he was going to have Down syndrome. So he was born prime time lockdown, like everyone was wearing masks and stuff, and we were just like in a dark room. Like I think we had him at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't like ring our parents until about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. We were just like sitting in a dark room, like not knowing what to do, and everyone's like wearing masks, everyone's around scared to touch you. It's like, I know, horrendous time, right? I know, it was horrendous.
Well, she went in for just like monitoring because the baby had like low movement and stuff, and I just went to bed just thinking, I'll be fine, innit? And the dog needs a pee, so I was like walking downstairs. I thought, I better check my phone. So as I'm checking the phone, my mother's hammering the door. She's like, get the fuck up. She's like, they're pulling the baby out. And I was like, he's not even due for like 7-8 weeks. So it's just like hammering it down to Glangweely, and like everything was going through my mind. And I'd like to say that I was greeted kindly, but she weren't happy. But the fact that I was there, and I literally just made it, they were like,
I was exactly the same with our third as well.
Mental, absolutely mental. And then I think because of the adrenaline, like they did emergency C-section, and I remember like sitting on the chair, and then they took him away to weigh him and stuff because he was earlier. They do different checks. I don't know what it was. It was just like a trail of blood on the floor towards the thing, and I was just looking at it, and I was like, oh. And I got up and I just went white. And all the doctors running around and put me on a bench and give me some water. I thought I was going to faint.
It's so stressful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hated the pregnancy from start to finish because you feel like you can't. You're not in control, like you can't do anything, like you're useless, and really,
basically,
and you're in the way, like you're a nuisance.
Yeah.
And then For me personally, like when Katie was in labour, like you're looking at the monitors and you're looking at the doctors, and you can see them. They whisper to each other. They've got a way to not panic.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was just, you always think someone's going to go like panicking, and it's a hard, stressful time now.
Yeah.
Scans. You were supposed to go on your own for scans, weren't you?
Yeah. And even like the big scans, like the gender scan, the 12-week scan, they were all on their own.
Yeah.
But,
it's crap in it. It was ridiculous.
And you look now, it's as if nothing's ever happened.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you were at the same time as us, so like COVID babies back to back.
Yeah.
How you finding?
If I could do it again, I probably would do it a little bit differently, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Like seeing how close and stuff they are, is great. But it's like some days, I just can't handle it. Like that reel I did before was like, we get into like a supermarket, I'll take the baby with me, like, and if Holly's listening to this now, she'll probably think, oh, here he goes, father of the year, taking them all shopping. But like, we'll go in, like, I'll fill a basket or trolley up, Daddy, need a pee, and like, oh fuck, like, take him to the toilet, whatever, and then they're like touching everything. You've got to take all 3 of them in with you. They all want to touch something. One of them goes, you get like 10 minutes away, and now, Daddy, I want to go back again. And it's just like stuff like that. Stuff like that you didn't even think about, like, before you were a father, just like drive you absolutely nuts in it.
It's so hard. Like, it's so hard. So Katie, like my wife, she's not worked for the last 3 years. She's been at home with the kids, sort of because we couldn't justify it because we'd have to put the kids in nursery. It would cost us more to put the nursery in work. But it's so hard being at home with the kids. Like, I'm glad to go to work. Do you know what I mean? I know it's bad to say, but it's so much easier going to work.
Yeah. Like when I knew the third was coming, I just completely adapted my business model. So I just took everyone into groups, cut out all the one-to-ones, trained everyone online basically through an app, and then I just like trained people through like 7 sessions throughout the week.
Yeah.
So my in-person time within work came down, but I was at home more. But I thought like, I'll be at home and I'll still be able to do this on the laptop. It doesn't happen. It just literally doesn't happen. And then you're caught between like being present and like the stuff that you have to do, or the business doesn't go forward, and you're caught in such a limbo. And it's like you've got a deadline, you've got something to do, and you're like, oh, Daddy, can you do this? Daddy, can you do that? And I hate being the guy that goes, oh, can you give me a minute? Can you give me a minute?
I know.
It's horrible. And you do, like, when they go to bed then, you beat yourself up over it. It's horrible.
I have the exact same struggles with you as myself, to be honest with you, like as an online coach as well. You know, you'll get someone who messages, say someone's doing a gym session, and they message you a question while they're in that session, and they need to know, what can I do instead of this?
Yeah.
You have to get back to them, like, because it's your job, isn't it, as a coach? Yeah. But it's, you know, you put in time away, you should be maybe playing Jenga with your...
Yeah.
So hard.
And same with like inquiries and stuff. Like, because it's such an impulsive industry, if someone messages you about like jumping onto a plan or a program, you don't answer them within the first I would say it's even gone as far as like the first 5 or 6 hours now. If you leave it 24 hours, it's gone. Yeah. And like we can be like, put the kids to bed, and I'll see a notification pop up, and I'm like, oh, do I answer this? And then with an inquiry, it's not just like, oh, here's the information. You've got to like speak to people and get to know people as well. And then I could just feel the daggers coming from the other side of the sofa. Then it's like, when are you going to put the phone down? But
it's so hard. I know. It's exactly. I can relate to everything that you say. It's so hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it is hard.
But with how are you finding having 3, like the jump from 2 to 3?
To be honest, 1 to 2 was more difficult, because I feel like when you've got 2, you haven't got a life anyway. So like just adding another one into the mix is just like, I've just fully committed the fact that I am just a father. Yeah. But I'm a happy family man. Like, I know that that's my purpose, and like it's probably like flipped our life around. But it's one of those things where, you know, when you have spare time or when you have like a date night or whatever, you sit there, you're like, what should we talk about? That's other than the kids. Like we went, it was like the one night off we'd had like 2 years. We went to like Laneley Hall, and we sat down in like a spa. We were like there for 2 seconds. I was like, it just feels weird not having to like get up every 2 seconds to do something. And it's a bizarre feeling. You just want to go straight to bed.
Yeah. Like, you want to have a lie-in is worth more than anything. Yeah. I asked Katie, like, if you got a weekend off, what do you want to do? And she'll just say she wants to lie in. Yeah. Because she hasn't had one in a year. Do you mean?
It's funny, after that trip, it was like just before Christmas. So we'd gone up there, we came back, we'd had like a day and a half for the kids or whatever. And it was like 2 or 3 days before Christmas, so we picked the kids off my mother, and we were walking on Tesco with the 3 of them. I started having like really bad heart palpitations, and I was like, what's going on here? And it was to the extent where I like physically couldn't take a deep breath in.
Shit.
So I like wanted to push through it. I was like carrying the shopping up the steps of the house, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like, I don't want to mean to alarm you, like, but my chest is like really, really in agony. I like can't take a deep breath." She's like, "I've got loads to do." It's like 2 days before Christmas. I was like, "You can't be bad.
Don't do this now."
And I was like, the blood was draining from my face, and she was like, carted them back up to my mother's. Went to the hospital. Sat in A&E, they did like loads of scans, all ECGs. There was like, they basically telling me there's nothing wrong with you. But still to this day, I genuinely think it was the anxiety of having the kids back that made me like go into like shock mode or whatever. Because you can imagine like going from like a spa to like the 3 kids, just like doing the food shop. It was like such a mixed emotions. I think I wish that there was something physically wrong with me, not just there was all going on in my head.
It's so hard though, isn't it? It's so hard.
It's right though.
I think my parents obviously had 2 kids, and like they don't know what it's like. This is so hard.
No. And like generations have changed so much, and I genuinely think this. I don't know how my parents coped without iPads and phones and stuff.
I know.
Like, and I am that parent, because if I'm not that parent, I don't get anything done. It's like it's physically impossible.
When you go off, like we went off for Sunday lunch on the weekend, and Harry starts throwing forks and then throwing carrots. Like I think he hit a parsnip hit the table next door. But then they look up and they see Harry and they can't be mad, so they're like, "Oh, it's okay." But you got to give him a phone.
Yeah.
And like you got to put Blippy on or something. Just
our youngest now, he's like that's the only word he knows is Blippy. So it's like he's trying to communicate to us through one word. If I hear Blippy once more, it's either Blippy or Mammy. It's driving me nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and that's a job. I was that parent before having kids, so I thought I'm not going to be one of those parents who gives an iPad. You know, they'd be out playing all the time.
I know.
It's impossible.
I remember, funny enough, I remember going to like Tenerife and all day must have been about 7 years ago. I remember seeing like a table, like a long table full of family, and like all these kids had devices out, and we were like no kids sat on the table. I went, "Oh, look at that, they're disgusting." I was like, what's the point of them going out for food and all this? And now like the roles completely flipped. Like,
all the tech comes out.
Yeah. we went to the holiday village, Mallorca, which is like flatter family resort. And we were the family, like you go down, it's like breakfast, bang, 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 iPad. And it's like, I don't care, I've got to eat. Like they've been up all night, like this is what's happening. And you could see like some of the families would walk past and like turn their nose up, and they've got like one kid who's like 7, like it's a different ball game. You can occupy like a 7-year-old like during breakfast. Yeah. 3 kids and 4 who were like completely non-compliant. Yeah. You've got to do what you've got to do with it.
Mine are hard. It's so hard. You've done a holiday then, have you?
We've done 2.
Have you?
We did.
It's brave.
I was brave, and I swore after the first one we'd never do another one, because on the flight on the first one, I don't like confined spaces, and I hate being on a plane. And the thing I can't stand is like I don't see why people need to have like drinks and like a full setup. Yeah. My missus is one of those people, so we're trying to like keep 2 kids occupied. She's like, "Oh, I've got all these like crafts and stuff in the bag." She's just pulling all these stuff up on the table. 2 kids are thrashing, kicking everywhere. And then Hudson's one of these sleepers where he's got to like move to get comfortable. So the more we were holding him, the more mentally he was going. And I was thinking, it's like, if someone would open up that door now, 35,000 feet, I'd jump. I would literally. And she was like, I was like making a fuss. She was like, "Stop making a fuss." I was like, "I'm not making a fuss." And it was like, just like at each other's throats. The sweat was pouring off me. And it's like, this is horrendous. And then it was like a 2-hour transfer to the hotel. I was like, this isn't worth it. But then after a few days, you like when you see their faces and stuff.
Yeah, we haven't done it yet. We're in talks now, but I'm against it for a bit.
Yeah,
like, obviously I want to go on holiday, but
it's not a holiday. It's it's extreme parenting in a different country.
Did you go just you and Holly, right?
Yeah.
Did you go just you and Holly, or did you go with grandparents?
No, we just.
You did it,
and this is what amazed people. Like I do. We did like ponder the idea of taking grandparents or whatever, but like this is no disrespect to anyone. For me, then it's not a holiday.
Nah.
It's like you kind of, and I'd be the same if you went with another couple. I feel like when you go on holiday, you want to do things at your own time. Like you spend so much like of your normal life structured to like, oh, we got to go out at this time. And like when you go with another couple, you're like, oh, they're going up at this time, so we need to be ready for this time. And I just like to go with the flow.
I'm exactly the same.
So that I just didn't want that structure. It was like we probably could have really have done with the help of points. About 7 days into the last one, we were like sat in a lounger, and our middle one, he'd cut his leg and he had tonsillitis, so he couldn't go in the pool.
Shit.
We had to get a doctor. He had to have antibiotic cream. Our eldest, every single time he went in the pool, he's like, oh, my clothes are wet, and he'd take them off. It's like, no, it's not. So this works. Like the bathers, they stay on, they dry on you. No, I want them off. So he was like, every time he was in the pool, he was like stripping bollocks naked, sitting there in the iPad with like a little Sonic poncho on. And then the baby, you'd put him down, and he was just going all the time. And I was like, I just want to sit down. Like, want to sit down for 10 minutes. And we had to like split this. So like, I would take 2, and she'd sit there with 1. And it was like, constantly doing something all the time. And I was like, oh, should we just get an early flight home? It's like...
You're not selling this at all, to be honest.
But she would be like... I'm one of these people who's like really honest as well. So, do you know... for ages, I didn't put the holiday photos up because I had a bit of like PTSD. Because I was looking at them, I was like, oh, they look lush in their matching clothes and all this. And it's like, yeah, that night was fucking horrible. I think you do a deal with the devil in the day. So you're like, oh, we'll put them down for a nap, and then you're like, oh, go and get a drink. So they're all sleeping at one point, like the very few moments that actually happened. And you're like, I'll leave them have another 15 minutes. Like,
yeah, that's
let them have another 15 minutes, and then you just pay the price all night. So you don't sleep like 11 o'clock.
No, no. We can't let the kids sleep in the day.
No,
Lola's just had a nursery with us, and we tell them in the start, oh, can you not let her sleep because she won't sleep in the day? Yeah, no worries. Yeah. Picked her up at 3 then. She's like, she had a little bit of a nap.
The exact same thing happened. It was Hudson's first day of part-time school, and he'd been to Kilch during the day, like the masonry thing, and then they do like the wraparound thing. So I'm going to pick him up, and he's out of the 3 of them, he's like the most robust. He'll just go into any situation, doesn't care. Yeah. He's one of those. And pick him up, and his face was like tamping. I was like, he's been sleeping 100%. And she's like, he's had a little nap, a good 40 to 50 minutes. And we were like, oh, there we are, Teddy. So like, we're walking off, and Mrs. face, she was like livid. It's like we both went because it was the novelty of the first day. And as we were walking away, and I was like, don't we go first now? Don't we go first? And he was doing press-ups on the kitchen floor until like 9 o'clock in the evening. Yeah. And then he went to bed about 10. And then he's mangled the next day again. So it's like the cycle just keeps going and going and going. So
hard. Back to the holiday, because I'm intrigued. This is a bit of learning for me.
Yeah.
Did you put them in the holiday club? Or?
Right, well, this is the thing. So the first time we went, they were a bit too small, and we were like, when we go next time, they're 100% going. Because they both quite love school and Kilch, I thought they'd be great. So I thought, if we can get the eldest to win, we've just got to deal with the baby. And if we time it for his nap time, we can have like at least a decent kip on the lounger or whatever. They went one day, and they were we could see them. It was quite a good setup because it's like it's in like a little glass building type thing down the other side of the pool. So if there's an issue, they can just come and get you. So I was like, I'm going to pop my head in. They just both sat there livid, and it was like stuff that they love because they do like CrossFit Kids, like the parachute and stuff. It was a parachute party, and I was like, they love this. It's like they've got to be happy. So like, they're definitely going to go tomorrow. We're not going tomorrow. We're not going. It was as if they'd like had a chat there, and they were like, no, stuff this, we're not going tomorrow. So yeah, they went one day. We had that brief moment of bliss, and then it was game over. Yeah. We did try every day.
That's what I've been looking at. So I've been looking at these holidays with holiday clubs and trying to talk to people. And
the best places are the holiday village. So there's one in like Mallorca, Ibiza, Rhodes. I think Mallorca's the shortest flight, but it's amazing. Like, so they'll have like an app and they'll have a timetable, and the stuff they do with the kids is genuinely class. Like, so they'll have like a superhero party where it's all superhero theme. You make your own costume and all that. It's genuinely like, I wouldn't have sent them to something shit, but it was something good. I was like, boys, you're gonna love this. No, we're not going. So they'd rather watch like crap on the iPad by the side, and that's what was wrecking me. They had an iPad by the side. I don't mind by food, but they had it by the side of the pool, and I was like, people are looking at us now, judging us, and I thought, but by like day 8 or 9, I was like, let them fucking judge, I don't care.
It's such a job.
I know.
Maybe this is I don't know.
Yeah, so I think that's what you need to do, I think, to set. I would like, it's amazing to look back, but at the time I was like, this is pure hell. It would have been easier to be in the house.
Yeah.
And you pay a lot of money as well. That's the thing.
That's the problem. Isn't it? So, in regards to how'd you get into the fitness industry?
It's a bit of a mental story. So I went to uni, did a business degree, came home, like there was no jobs going, so I was working like a series of like really shit jobs. I did like PPI. I was like the lowest. You were that guy? I was the lowest of the low.
So you phoned me a few times.
Yeah. So I would be like doing PPI sales and stuff. I worked in like quite a cool call center. Like the people you meet in a call center is like every like walk of life. You meet like mental people. And then I finished there. I'm the day I left there in tears because I was so mentally drained. The manager who was there loved me, so he kept like, even though I wasn't making the sales, he was like, "Oh, come on, the management team, and we'll just get you like we'll get you motivating people instead of selling." And I was like, "Yeah, right, okay." But he kept pushing and trying to keep me there. "Oh, we'll get you a job in admin. We'll do this, that." And I happened to go on like a bit of a mental bender on like Christmas to like New Year's. And I remember sitting down at the desk. I didn't want to be there anyway. And I was like, I can't do this. And then I went to see him. I was like, I'm going. With no plan, with no job to go to, nothing. And he's begging me to stay. And I was like, I can't do it. And I was like literally walking out. I was like, crying because I was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do with my life. But I know I don't want to be here. So I had to take a job with CK's supermarket. And I specifically remember on the very first day that I went there, it was like, we walked into the warehouse. I had a job through like a friend of a friend, and the general manager took me into the warehouse and he was like, "Right, these are the biscuits. This is their home. Please put the biscuits into their home." I was like, like 3 years doing a business degree to being talked to and spoken to in the most patronising way ever. So I stayed there for a while. They trained me up to be a manager because I had a business management degree. I wouldn't say I hated every second of it, but I was like, I really disliked it. So I kept trying to think like, what's the most like constant environment? What's like something else other than this that I could go and work in that I genuinely cared about? So it just kept coming back to fitness. So like, played rugby since I was like 8 years old for Llangennech, and like pre-season, like loved pre-season, like went on the weights with my grandfather when I was like 13. He was an athletics coach. I was that kid with like Arnold's bodybuilding encyclopedia. Yeah. I was that kid. So it was a natural for me. Like when my mates wanted to come and train, I would teach them stuff, and it was just like a natural thing. And I remember, Craig Evans, the ref.
Yeah.
So he was working in the place where I was in RD's when I was training, and I was like, he's got a tidy little number here. He's just taking the class up there now. He's walking around. He's having a bit of a chat with everyone and stuff. I was like, this is all right. So I thought that's what I'm going to do. But then obviously I need a qualification. I'm one of these people who like firmly believes in that, and like most of the fitness industry these days.
That's another topic.
Yeah. So I needed to get qualifications, but I had like literally no money. I was like just making ends meet. I was living on my own. Wage wasn't great where I was. So basically I had to get another job to be able to generate the funds to be able to do it. And then like loads of shitty stuff happened to me like all in one go. So it was like I'd save up like 1,500 quid or whatever, and then something would go on the car, and then all the money I'd save I'd have to spend on the car. And then we were living, me and my mate were living in his father like rented a house out to us. So there was a burst pipe in the living room, so we had no heating, no water. But I was like so in the zone of training, like saving, and I was just like so focused. I just didn't want to go back to live with my parents because I knew like it would just be aggro, because the way I wanted to eat was how I wanted to eat, and like I wouldn't be able to cook downstairs and I wanted to, and just stuff like that, innit? So I decided to stay in the house. He was like, you can live in the house, like you can have it rent free, like, but I'm not going to charge you rent, but there's no heating and there's no water. It's like, that's fine. So I would like jump over the neighbour's fence when they would go out and fill up like drums of water just so that I could like boil veg with, and like be able to put, like fill the tank of the toilet, and I'd like shower in the gym and stuff. Just because I was adamant on like getting my goal, and I was like, the goal was, I was going to get my qualifications, I was going to get a job in the gym, I was like, I was going to be a PT, and I was like, nothing could deviate from that. I'd listen to like Les Brown motivational stuff like 6 a.m. as soon as I get up, like, and before I went to bed I was so focused. And it was mental. I'd live in my bedroom with this like tiny heater, just like watching motivational stuff all the time. and then it loads a series of like just good stuff happen to me, bang, 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 straight after. And I think like I firmly believe that you've got to go through the shit to be able to not one appreciate what you've got, but like after like times of adversity, you become like you shed the skin of like your former self, and you find out, like, without being cliche, who you are, who you really are, and what you can do and what you can go through. And a lot of the stuff, and all the jobs and stuff that I did before gave me like valuable life skills that I use today. Like being able to, like, the store locations of the CKs and stuff, in quite rundown areas and stuff. But I always got on with like the customers and the staff, regardless of their walk of life. And I think being able to speak and communicate with people from all different walks of life obviously comes hand in hand in this job. So yeah, I'm grateful for how I got there. But longer answer than you expected.
No, I enjoyed it. So you've got running water now and heating in the house, yeah?
Yeah. we've got the general basic amenities.
You made it.
Yeah, living the dream now.
Oh, so obviously now your business now is mostly online, is it? You got 7 hours.
Yeah, so it's like a hybrid model. So people, they sign up pretty much online. We do everything through the app in terms of like the training, nutrition, accountability and stuff. And then they come in and they do like group sessions with us. So they got like 7 opportunities throughout the week, and they can come in and attend 3-4 sessions. But I feel like that was the catalyst for the growth. So I tried doing it after COVID. Didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was like just making these like plans on like Word and stuff like that. But like we didn't know any better, innit? So I got some mentoring, especially when I knew that the kids were coming. I was like, I got to find a way to make this. There's a way to make this more cost or time efficient. So I just went after it. Cost me a lot of money in mentoring, and I remember at one point...
Some of them are quite expensive, aren't they?
I was paying out a lot of money. It should be done. I was paying out a lot of money. And the two Hudson had just been born, and I was stressed. I was like, had to make sales. I was like, had to cover the overheads and stuff. But I work better under pressure, and I feel like having that pressure on me, and from what I learned from those mentors, just gave me the platform to be able to push forward.
So you think it was worth it with the mentors?
Oh, 100%, yeah. And the stuff that I learned now, I still use today.
You've got to apply it, haven't you? Like,
oh yeah.
I think a lot of people do those things but don't apply it. So it's a waste of money then, isn't it?
Definitely. And I was guilty of that at one point. I was like, I'm paying out this X a month, but I wasn't doing the work. And I've been tempted to get into other mentorships, and I've been looking at the statistics. I've done the sales call, and I've gone, right, there's a lot of work you've got to do here to get there. It's like they're not putting it on a plate for you. Even though you pay the money, you're not going to get the result. It's like you've got, and I'm like, have I got the time right now to be able to invest in it? And the answer was no. So I was like,
I've done it before. I've done exactly the same as you. I did not too long ago. Did one, and they're telling you, oh, we need you to do this every day, like 2 hours a day. But I genuinely at the minute don't think I've got that 2 hours a day, because I'm coming home and I have to put that family time and
definitely.
It's such a job.
I know. And when it compromises stuff like that, and sometimes I think, like, I often think about this. When I am now, if you would have told me like 4 or 5 years, and Mrs. has got a really good way of like bringing me back down to earth, I guess. I'll be like always like moving the goalposts. I'm like, oh yeah, but I need to get this much revenue. I need to get these many clients. I need to do this. I need to do that. And she's like, whoa, no, hang on. Like, we got more than enough of what we need to live. Like, do you need the extra stress? And like, I was going to go back PT in at one point. I was like, oh, I could do with topping this up here now. And she's like, but that's dead. You're trading your time for money. It's like there's no point. So I always think me 5 years ago, 4 years ago, be so grateful for where I am now. Like, I got good quality of life. Like, I don't work ridiculous hours anymore. We got enough for what we need. So
yeah, I saw a quote the other day, and it was 5 years ago you dreamed of where you were now.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what you just said.
Exactly.
It is true, isn't it?
100%.
Fair play. Nice.
Yeah. It's been like, and I'm really, really like passionate about my business because of like the story that I just said just now. So I feel like when things like grow in the future, I'll have a real problem letting go in some areas of it. It's like Holly's like training up now. She's like, let me help you with this, let me help you with that. I'm like, there's no point me showing you, because I'll just do it myself. I'll just be easier. By the time I show you, I'll be able to get it done, because I've got problems in letting go of elements of it, because I know how hard I've worked to get it to a certain point. Like,
and there's a standard, isn't there? And you don't want to drop that standard.
Yeah, exactly.
Holly's coming on board in the family business.
Yes,
that's cool.
Yeah, she currently does like mums and babies CrossFit up in Class 179. And it's like she's grown in confidence so much. Like, we both started CrossFit about 4 years ago, like on and off. We were doing it where I worked originally. And yeah, like once you do CrossFit, I don't think you can train any other way, can you?
Nah, it's hard.
It's one of those things. And I hate to be a CrossFit wanker, but I am. I am. It's funny. Like a few years ago, I used to slag CrossFit off. I used to slag like people who used to drink like love coffee, and I'm one of those people now. But yeah, it's funny how life changes, isn't it?
Yeah, that's cool though. Like Katie's just come on board with us now, like in the family business, and it is. How are you finding the challenge?
I was just about to ask you the same thing. How would you find like the dynamic of it all?
I think it's like, I was listening to your story there, and you were saying that you were quite driven, and like Holly kind of brings you back down. Like she balances you out. I'd imagine it's quite similar with us, really. Like Katie kind of balances me out a little bit, where I might have an idea, and I'm one of those people. If I have like an idea that I think is a good idea, I'll just jump on it and like not even think. Katie's like, hang on now, wait till the morning. And like just have a think tonight now, sleep on it, and then decide. And by the morning I've probably decided, I might do it another way. So it's quite good that you've got someone to balance you out.
That sounds familiar. And I think I come from like a bit of a pessimistic background, and I'm like my parents are quite, I wouldn't say they're pessimistic, but they're always like, I think your parents have always got your best intentions at heart. So when I first went to go on PT, they were like, please don't. Like, all my mates were like, don't do it. It was like, don't. It's like, it's so competitive. Like there was one PT in the area, and he was like cleaning up, and they were like, oh, you'll never go against him. Like you'll never get any clients. And I was like, I'll see how it goes now. But I always, like when I've got a vision of something, I've got to not listen to other people sometimes, because I'm naturally drawn to being a pessimist. If I'm like dragged in that direction, it can like flip my mind altogether. But she will say sometimes like, what if this, and I know sometimes that the stuff that she's on about is there, it's like it's in the area, and I'm like thinking like, no, just ignore it. She's like, yeah, but what about this? I'm like, fuck, she's brought it up. And then you've got to do like a little bit of a risk assessment, or you think like, oh yeah, maybe that won't work or whatever. But I've had loads of ideas that have flopped. I tried doing the online thing pre-COVID. I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing, and it was just an absolute flop from like start to finish. And like I like looking back on that now, because I didn't have one sign up. Like I launched this whole thing, did like a whole launch series, didn't have one sign up.
Did you do that thing as well, where you're like, I've got 3 spaces open?
Yeah, but it was more even basic than that. It was like, oh, this big thing's coming now, like, and I was doing like this huge countdown to it, and it's like there was no demand for it. Like the fitness industry was like quite like immature towards like online coaching. Like the maturity that's come on like during COVID is like probably pushed it forward like 10-15 years, isn't it? But yeah, it was the wrong time, and I did not have the skills to do it.
But you learn that. That's how you learn what not to do the next time.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
I see these like a lot of coaches that I know online, like they're always posting like sales, which is fine. Like obviously, because a business runs and dies on sales, but every week I've got 3 spaces opening up.
I know.
4 spaces opening up. And like,
I know.
And there's more than 3 spaces.
I know. And this is what I really struggle with. I've hated always like going with the crowd, or like go in the same direction as other people. But like a lot of ways to market and to get sales and to get things, you do have to talk in a certain way, and I know like writing that does go through me, and I try to be like as authentic as possible, and sometimes I genuinely can fit another 5 people into my program, but writing that just goes against every bone in my body, and I'm writing, I'm like, oh, that's making me die.
But no, you don't come across in that way at all, in fairness to you. Like I see some of these online PTs, they're trying to, they're like messaging you, like I have some of them sliding into my DMs, like you're doing.
Yeah, it's the most predatory industry ever. I don't think there's I can't think of another industry where people are so vulnerable to assholes, basically. Like people who are just like, and the type of vulnerability that people are open to is like stuff that makes them anxious, stuff that makes them give them a low self-worth. Like those are like real deep-rooted issues, and for people to take advantage of that is like the worst form of like this like scumbag. It's horrendous, and charging them like extortionate amounts of money, because they'd be like, oh, they're selling a high ticket, they're selling like 997 to somebody, like they're automatically going to think, oh, this guy's going to solve my problems, but this comes down to them, and they're probably giving them like a cookie cutter program, or the same diet that they're giving some bloke down the road and stuff. It's frustrating.
There's as a coach, you're going to get people who approach you all the time from a place of vulnerability, and there's so many idiots out there, isn't there? Like, just take advantage. Yeah, it's just yeah.
See, like, and the worst ones for me are the ones who do like they'll do like a body, like, nothing against bodybuilding, I've done it myself. They'll do like a bodybuilding cut. They do like two cycles with an online coach, and they're like, I'm going to start coaching people. So then they'll give this plan then to like Joe Blogs down the road, who it like doesn't apply to.
Yeah.
Like, they might be able to get like 20,000 steps in a day, 5 meals or whatever, and they're giving that to some like single mother with like 2 kids.
Tracy down the road. It's ridiculous. I know what. I know, there's a guy I know now. He's got an incredible routine. Like, in fairness to him, he's shredded. He's doing really well. He cold plunges at like 4 o'clock in the morning. I think he doesn't masturbate. Like, he's got like a no masturbation like policy. Yeah, fine. You do you. Right?
Yeah.
But he's got like, right, I'm looking for women between the ages of 20 and 30 with kids who are looking to transform their lives. I'm like, Susan's not going to be jumping in an ice bath at 4 o'clock. She's been up all night with little builders.
I know. It does. It wrecks me. And I'm like, that person then will do that program. They won't be able to maintain it, and then they will just tar every single coach with the same thing, and that's what gets me. It's the same like with these business mentors. They'll like tell you to like DM people. And it's like, this guy was like telling me all the time, oh, you need to be starting conversations with people. I'm like, yeah, right, okay, fair enough. If I start messaging birds going, oh, right, how's your training going? Like, you just look like a flat out creep. Yeah. Like, I'm just never, ever going to do it. And he's like, oh, come on, mate, start these conversations. Like, it's not having conversations. My missus looks on my phone, regardless of how much trust we got for each other. If I'm inboxing fucking 50 girls going, oh, how's your training going?
It's like, who's that,
It's going to come off, oh, I'm trying to grow the business, mate. I'm trying to grow the business.
I'm doing this for you. Nah. Yeah, do you know what breaks me massively is, I don't know if you get it where you're in it, but you know these coaches who edit their pictures. Yeah. Is that after do you? Do you ever see people do that?
Yeah, I do. I see more of it like widespread. I don't see it more like local by me, but I do know like there's a couple of girl PTs around by me. I think like you see them in like an Instagram story in the background of the gym, and then you'll see their photos, and it's like, oh, come on.
If they were missing, like, no one would know who they are.
No.
Like, it's mental, isn't it? Like, yeah. But like, a lot of my demographic are women, so like, a lot of the people that I train are women. So like, over the years, the amount of people that I spoke to with body image issues and who had like, dealt with many different things. Like, it's a bad thing to be doing as a coach. Like, 100%. You're a person that people come into with trust, and I get to know.
Yeah. Like, for me, I the type of person I am, I wanted to try and like to have the same values in my business, so trying to be as authentic as possible in like every form of it. Like, so even down to, I don't make out that I've got a perfect life. Like, I don't want people to think like, oh, I've got all my shit together. When I did like a bodybuilding cut when I had Hudson, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it with 2 kids and stuff. It was just a thing that I wanted to do. I just wanted those photos, so when I'm older to be like, look what I was able to do type thing in my prime, so I'm not getting any younger. But I didn't make out like, oh, that was a piece of piss. It was fucking hard work, and I was taking fucking boxes of like chicken and rice to Peppa Pig world to me and stuff.
Oh no!
It was savage, and I didn't make out that it was like some magic thing at the end of it. It was like, it was proper hard work. I had to sacrifice loads of shit to do it. And I couldn't fucking wait for it to finish. Yeah. Like, I don't sugarcoat anything. Like, when we go away or we go on a family day out, I'm like, I don't try to be like, oh, we got the perfect time, perfect family, blah, 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 highlight reel. It was a fucking shit show from like start to finish. We had a few lovely moments when we were on a couple of rides, but after that, it was chaos. So I think like having that in authenticity and like changing your photos just to be someone else to like fit in, I just think your business is doomed to fail because people see through it. And I think like people can smell, like, your target audience or the people that you are trying to attract can sniff it a mile off. Like,
I think authenticity talks for itself, doesn't it? I think it's people need to trust you. I think that's why your business is doing so well, and that's why you got the following that you do. I think you definitely shout authenticity.
Yeah, you got to, and I think it's easier in a way. Like, to try and be someone else is fucking hard work. I haven't got time for that. So I just try and be myself as much as possible. And I think over the last, like, and I'm more like the struggles I have with the kids and stuff, I just put it up because I think it's funny for the people who can relate to it. And that's been the conversation started in itself. It's like people will say like, oh, I know I'm struggling trying to fit everything in or whatever. So yeah, it's a good conversation starter.
Class. Who'd you play rugby for?
Llangennych. Yeah, played for Llangennych since I was, but they've gone up now and up and up.
Yeah, they're pushing on, eh?
I was gutted. So the last game I played was against Newcastle Emlyn. I think it was the season before they went up. We only had the 2 boys, and I was in and I went to go back, and Mrs. was like, go back. It was like one of those, I was like moping in the house and all that. She was like, what's the matter? I was like, oh, I'm going to play rugby again. It's like Saturday.
You want to be with the boys.
Yeah, she bought me a pair of boots. She was like, I had the blessing. I realised, I was like, fuck, this is hard work. It's coming home from training late. And it was just hard work. Like, up until the moment I left the house, like she was like, right, if you're playing rugby, I'm going to have my head and I'm going to the gym. So I'd have the kids in from the moment I woke up until like the moment I left the house at 12:30. She's like, this was a crack me up. She's like, where the fuck are you going at 12:30? I was like, we got to warm up, we're meeting and all that. She was like, oh, what a load of shit. All the games start at 2:30. She's like, she thought now I could leave the house at 20 past, put my kit on and go on the field. She was like, I was like, this is an international thing throughout sport. Like, this is what everyone does. Oh, don't get me started. You're not playing for the Scarlets now. You're not playing for Wales now. You're playing for Llan. Like, so it's like she couldn't grasp the fact that we had to be out of the house all day. She's like, where are you now? I was like, not saying that she's like keeping tabs on me. She's like, I'm at the club. And she's like, oh, it's like, you've got to go and have food at the club. It's a normal thing. Like,
you're putting a fine if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, I was like, I'd have a pint, I'd have food, and I'd go home or whatever. And the day's gone.
Yeah.
And then in that last game we played, the kids had been up all night. And I'd always like, throughout like rugby, I was never like the most talented, whatever, but I just had like work ethic. And like, I would always be the guy chasing, like, even if we were like 80 points up, 80 points down, like, I'd be chasing after everything, trying to tackle everything. It's just always the way I was. And then in that last game, I was just, we're running around the field and I was thinking to myself, I don't give a fuck about the outcome of this game. I just don't care. I went down for a scrum and I was like, I closed my eyes like 2 seconds, like I could literally fall asleep. And I don't know what it was. I had like 2 years out. And I felt like the physicality just went up that extra notch and I just couldn't meet the level of the physicality. And I was looking at these boys like throwing themselves into tackles and stuff. And then when you've got kids, yeah, it's there all the time. And like the stuff that I would have done in like my early 20s and stuff, it wasn't there.
Yeah. I went back to play last year, like one game. I played one game. And I've gone soft. I completely lost it. Yeah. Like 2 years before, I was enjoy a good ruck, like throw myself into a tackle. Now I just like, oh, I don't fancy that anymore.
And like, I used to love contact and training. Do you know, like they'd be like, oh, let's put a grid out 5 minutes by 5 minutes. Let's smash each other for 45 minutes. I'd be like, well, up for it. They were like contact. I was like, right, in the change room, strapping everything up, scrum guard. It's like, we got to do this now.
Yeah.
Can we just do grab instead?
And you're going to get some Keno who's like 18 years old, like in university.
Yeah. Trying to prove a point. That was,
not for me.
No. It was tough.
Do you miss it all then?
I miss elements of it, and I'm one of these people. I haven't been to watch a game since I stopped.
Yeah,
so
I don't either.
I can't do it. So I think like taking myself out of that environment, I don't miss it because I'm not seeing it. But then like I think it was last summer. I think it was. We were pulling up to Morrison's, going on like a family day out, grabbing some snacks or whatever. And all the boys are coming out, like the buses on the road, the bottles of water, Red Bulls and stuff. And I was watching them go on the bus, and I was like, fucking hell, I miss that. Yeah. I was like, just the pre-anticipation, the nerves, having the pint after and stuff.
I just miss like turning up to training on a Tuesday night, and then someone turns up and he's got a new haircut, and it's like a shit haircut. Someone takes a piss, or like new shoes or something. Yeah, that's what I missed. That's what I did.
Yeah, in one of my last seasons, I played with one of my best mates. He used to play before Bernardo, and he came to play for Llan. And we had like the best like 2 seasons ever because we both just like took the piss the whole time. And we were like just like roughing people up and just having a laugh, or like he'd start scrapping, I'd go and like break it up, stop scrapping, stop fighting, turn around, next thing I'm scrapping with someone. And it was just like we just used to have banter all the time, even when we were on the field, like we'd like, oh, let's wind him up now or whatever. And we'd like talk about it after the game, stuff like that I miss pretty much.
Now you're a long time retired, aren't you?
So again,
you're a long time retired.
Yeah, and that was like when I was younger, I was like, oh, I'm gonna play till I'm 40. It's like when you're 20, you don't know like how tired it is when you have kids and stuff. So
how old are you now?
I'm 35 now. I know. It's downhill from here. I'm halfway through now.
What's the plan? James's plan now for the next couple of years?
I'd like to start something similar to this. So I feel like where we're living, there's a bit of a gap in the market. So there's a couple of like small group training facilities, and then you've got like commercial gyms. And I feel like there's a place where large group training can be delivered really well for a little bit more of a higher price tag than the commercial, but a little bit less than the small group PT. And for me, being able to train, like, one of the biggest barriers for us to be able to train is childcare. So I feel like if there was somewhere that could cater around that, even if it was like an area in the gym which was like supervised, where people could drop toddlers, or even if it was kids like 4, 5, 6 or whatever, some bean bags, somebody to go on the iPad on, to their own discretion, and they've got to keep an eye out or whatever, and as long as it doesn't impact the class, like, that can run. Not like a situation where it's like bring a kid every day, but if you're struggling, you can bring them. And I think I would love to offer to that to people, because I think so many people struggle with having that kind of accessibility. Like me and Holly, like, we train together at lunchtime. We're lucky enough on a Monday, Tuesday, my mother has the boys, and then we kind of match it up throughout the weekend. So for us to like train together is good, and I feel like other couples would massively benefit from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think when I first started this, Katie's background was she used to own a nursery, and she packed that in about, say, 4 years ago, etc. But I always dabbled with the idea of like opening a nursery as part of the gym.
Yeah, definitely.
And Katie was like, fuck off, Rhys, there's no chance. There's no chance I'll come back into that.
No,
so,
yeah.
But there's definitely a gap for something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like looking around what's in the area, and I feel like it just there's such a good place for it. And I think like if it's marketed well and it's priced well and it's like it's done to a high standard, I think it'll draw in the right people as well. The people who want to pay more for a better level of service.
I think people would pay. I would pay. Like, just have someone to watch the kids for an hour so you can train.
Definitely.
Like, just so you can go to the gym and have that hour to yourself.
Yeah.
Some of the girls I train now, like, they come here, say, once a week, and it's the only hour of the week they get without the kid. Yeah. Like, their kid. And it's like, it's vital for like mental health and how they feel. And so if you could create a space like that, I think it's massive, isn't it? Like,
on that, I've always been, since I started out, I've always had the mentality of, when people come to my class, whether I'm working for the gym, whether I'm working for myself, this is their hour of the day. It's like my responsibility to give them the best possible hour. Like, all my sessions, I like to make things hard for people, but I like to make it as enjoyable as possible. Like, anybody can beast people, like, you just fucking give them 100 burpees or whatever. But like, I think that there's a real science and an art to like hammering people just beyond, just to that point, but making it as enjoyable with as much variety as possible.
That's a skill, isn't it? I think I've learned that over the years. I remember my first couple of years as a coach, I always used to think that, you know, the harder the session was, the better it was. And like, quite often people would leave going sick. Looking back, I cringe. I cringe about it. And but now, if someone feels sick, I feel gutted. I'm like, oh shit, I've overpushed it. Like, there's a balance, isn't it?
Yeah. There's a guy who came to me for his like first 1-to-1 or whatever, and to be fair, it wasn't a difficult session. So it was like, I did some like dumbbell snatches with him. It was like just all the basics really. But I don't think he was like bending his legs enough on the way down. Like the volume might have been a little bit too much or whatever. So I didn't hear from him after the session. And then he phoned me and he said, I didn't know how to take it. And he said, after our session yesterday, I ended up in A&E. And I was like, oh, fucking hell. And I was like, oh, what you know, I spent most of the night there. I've been put on medication and all this. And I was like, oh, right, okay. He said, just to let you know, I thought the intensity of the session was really inappropriate. And I was like, all right, okay. So can I just get a little bit more from you about what the doctor actually said was wrong with you? Well, I went into spasm. And I said, all right. I said, what medications do you have then? And he's like, ibuprofen. I was like, right, yeah, okay, do it. I was like, first of all, I was like, oh, fuck, I'm fucked. My career's fucked. I'm like, I was like, no, I just think people are a little bit more sensitive to what they think intensity is. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I've had a couple of those sessions in the early days where you push people too hard. Yeah. Like the girls, I've got 2 girls now who've joined the team. They're quite new to coaching, so I just tell them, like, you know, just
don't push people too hard initially. Like build up people's tolerances. You get to know people as people, and what you know with some people you can push them till the cows come home, and they're gonna just be fine. Some people don't have that capacity to go yet, so they need to build that in there. But it's a big learning phase, isn't it? I think it takes time. I was a coach.
Yeah, and like you can read people, like with me, like people will sign up and then they'll come to their first group session. So they're coming into a new environment with people they haven't met before, and you can just see like I always think about a gladiator. He's about to go into their first battle and they've got the pea coming down the leg and they're like trembling. You can see
that was like you when he came back with the holiday.
Me in the waiting for the tunnel for the plane. So you can see that in them. And I think over years of coaching, like when they're starting to when the intensity is getting a bit too much, just go down and say, "Oh, you're right, okay." Tell you what, leave this next interval out, or go for like discreetly put lighter dumbbells there so they don't feel stupid and stuff like that. And like there's a way, I think, being able to scale a session back for somebody without making them feel like useless is a big part of it as well.
So everyone has the same stimulus from the workout.
Yeah,
just people have lighter weights or change the movements. It's simple. That's why I think like CrossFit does a good job of that, doesn't it?
Definitely. And I think CrossFit gets a lot of bad rap. Seeing how it's done in some places, you do think, oh fucking hell, but I think the general methodology is amazing. I think it's a brilliant place for people to learn.
Yeah.
The hardest thing, having worked in like a new CrossFit gym like a few years ago, like the retention was really poor because those members weren't being nurtured enough. So they were like coming into a program and they were like, "Oh, we're doing heavy deadlifts today, and then we're gonna do like wall walks, double unders, and like kip and pull overhead squats or something like that." And they just feel like to do more. Like I remember my first CrossFit session was overhead squats and pull-ups. I've never left somewhere so demoralised in all my life. I was like, I feel pathetic. I was like shuddering under like a
40 kilo bar.
It wasn't even, I think it was a bar in the end. And then I was like, I started off trying to do like kipping pull-ups, then they would end up strict pull-ups, and I was doing jumping pull-ups, and I was like physically couldn't straighten my arms. It was like something mental. It was like a 20-minute AMRAP of like a pyramid of 3, 6, 9, 12 going up overhead squats and pull-ups. Like, what the fuck?
Sounds horrendous.
It was like, that's fucking ridiculous. So I think what was good to me because I learned CrossFit from scratch, so being a complete beginner in something just gave me another string to the bow.
Yeah.
So I felt I had to learn all these movements from scratch as well. So for me to be able to teach those, it was handy because it was like they're struggling with like a muscle up, they're struggling with popping their hips. I had that problem. You do this drill, that type of thing. Yeah. So it does help.
No, brilliant. No, So I just want to cap it off today now, James. Thanks for coming on. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram, James Cartwright PT, Conquer Fitness. Also on Facebook, and if you're interested in getting involved, drop me a message.
Any parting advice for the listeners?
I would say this is kind of the main takeaway for parents, I think, is like, 1, don't overcomplicate it. 2, remove the friction. So make things as easy as possible. You don't need to be fucking Gordon Ramsay or doing hours of meal prep. There's easier ways to do things that you can stick to, and I think like if we can educate people on that it doesn't have to be that way, I think a lot more people will be more happy and a lot more successful.
Brilliant. Thanks for coming on.
Top days, top man.